Quick review of genetics and then instructions on how to do your monster genetics lab, which is in your notebook. So all the genetics we've been talking about so far is called Mendelian genetics. It's named after Gregor Mendel, the guy that is considered to be the father of genetics. And in Mendelian genetics, there's always a truly dominant version and a recessive version. And remember, if we have a dominant version of a gene, we are going to see that dominant version of a gene in the phenotype. In this case right here, we have purple flowers. Purple is dominant to white, and we noted purple with a big B. We noted white with a little b. So here I have a purple flower that's heterozygous. I have a purple flower that's heterozygous, meaning that they have both alleles, one allele for purple, one allele for white. The reason they're purple is because the purple is dominant. Well, when they cross and they make some offspring, most of my babies will probably be purple, but it is possible for a white baby to come out. This is an example of that Mendelian genetics, and most of our traits, or most traits you see in nature, have a dominant version and a recessive version, like hair color and eye color and all those genes that we've been talking about. But this isn't always the case. So there's a couple of instances where there's not a true dominant and recessive version of a gene. One of those times is called codominance. Codominance is when there are more than one dominant version of a gene. Remember, when we have a dominant gene, we're going to see that in our phenotype. So here's a good example of codominance. Here I have a red cow, and that red or brown is dominant. I also have a white cow, and that red that white color is also dominant. Well, when that white cow and that red or brown cow make a baby, well, that baby is going to have both dominant traits, so red and white versions of the gene, and it will come out kind of spotted or camouflage. So you see both of these colors in it because both colors are dominant, codominant. Usually when we have codominance, we're going to have both versions of a gene with an uppercase letter. And here, just to note the difference, we added a little mark. So there's one mark here, and then there's two marks here to note the difference between red and white. And you guys might see that on your STAR test or something like that. There is a really good example of codominance in humans, and that is blood types. And in humans, we have 4 types of blood. We have type A blood, we have type B blood, we have type AB blood, and type O blood. Well, A and B are codominant, meaning that they're both dominant versions of that gene. And then we also have a recessive version of that gene or blood type, and that is type O blood. And blood type's kind of weird. We note it with an I, so here's an uppercase I. And then we note up here with this little superscript if it's type A or type B blood, since they're both dominant. So in my genotypes for type A blood, I could have big IA, that would be homozygous, right? Because big I is the same as big IA. Or I could have heterozygous. I have the dominant version and I have the recessive version. So I have type A blood right here, and then I have type O blood, the recessive version, right here. Well, in both cases here, I'm going to have type A blood. That would be my phenotype. Type B blood is the same. It's also dominant. So I could have, I big B, that would be homozygous dominant. Or I could have type B blood with type O blood, and that would be heterozygous, but the blood type will still be type B. Now, when I mix type A and type B, they are both dominant. They are codominant, so I will see both traits. So I could have a type AB blood. So uppercase I with an A, uppercase I with a B, that would be type AB blood. It has 2 dominant versions of the gene. They just happen to be different versions, but I see them both, type AB blood. And then I do have this recessive version, type O blood. So in type O blood, it would be a lowercase I and a lowercase I. meaning both parents gave me the genes for type O blood. Right? So type A and type B are co-dominant. They are both dominant. And if you ever get both type A and type B blood, you see them both. So your blood type would be type AB blood. Now, when you go to pass on or make babies, you could pass on type A to one kid, type B to another kid. But when we cross this blood types, we cross it the same way that we would do other ones. So, and here I have a heterozygous type A blood, so type A with type O. Here I have a heterozygous type B blood, so type B and type O. Well, when I cross it, you know, I could have a 25% chance of having a baby with type AB blood. I could have a 25% chance of having a baby with type B blood or heterozygous B blood, and then 25% chance of having type A blood, and a 25% chance of having type O blood. And we actually do this a lot for determining who the father is. All right, so that's one type of not traditional genetics called codominance. And codominance, they are both dominant, or there's more than one dominant version of that gene. There's another one called incomplete dominance. And in incomplete dominance, there is no dominant version of the gene. So in this case, and it's pretty common in flowers like roses, I might have a red rose here and a white flower here. Well, when I put them together, red isn't dominant and white isn't dominant. So they mix, and I kind of get a little mixture of both of them. So it would be pink in this case. So red color here, I noted it with C for color, and then I made it red. Well, it's not dominant. C for color, and then the color is white. Well, it's not dominant. So when I mix them together, I got red and white color here. I make a pink baby. A good example in humans would be skin color. You know, if I have a really dark person that makes baby with a really pale person, well, they're going to be somewhere in between. They're going to have that mix of skin color. So there's no really dominant version of skin color in humans. All right, so those are the three types of genetics that you're going to need to know. Mendelian genetics, where it's true, dominant, and recessive. Codominance, when there's more than one dominant version of a gene, and then incomplete dominance, where there's no dominant version of the gene. And you're going to use that information now to do something called the Monster Genetics Lab. You can find it in your table of contents. Most of you, your table of contents should look like this, and it should say Intro to Genetics right here. For some reason, a few of you, your link to this assignment is going to be way up to the top of your table of contents. It's still Intro to Genetics. It should have been down here, but somehow they all got moved up. So you can move that back down or just click on it. Then when you go to that genetics homepage, you've already done these C notes, but we're going to do this today, Monster Genetics Lab. And when you click on it, you're going to see this on the left page, this on the right page. And you're going to need a coin to do this, or you could just use your phone like Siri will flip a coin for you. All you have to do is ask Siri to flip a coin, and it'll tell you heads or tails. Now, make sure you pay attention to these because there are some incomplete dominants in here. So here, red and white, they are not dominant, so they would mix, right? Red and white would probably make pink. Here's codominant, green and blue. So if they mix, if you're heterozygous here with G and B, then you're going to see both of those genes. Don't worry about regulatory. That's true dominance anyways. Here's incomplete dominant. So you either have 4 toes or 2 toes. Well, if I mix, I'm going to have a mix of that. So somewhere in the middle, which would be 3 toes. All right. So the way you're going to do this is you're just going to flip a coin. And you got to flip a coin twice for each trait. So my first trait here is for how many eyes you have. So dominant version, 2 small eyes. The recessive version, 1 large eye. If you get a heads, that's going to be allele number 1 from this column. If you get a tails, it'll be allele number 2 from this column. And it's pretty simple, so I'm just going to use Siri. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
It's tails this time.
So I got tails, so I know I'm going to have the little e. And then I'm going to flip it again because remember our genotype has 2 letters. So hey Siri, flip a coin.
It's heads this time.
So I got heads and tails. So I got a big E, little e for my genotype for eyes. And what is my phenotype? Well, I have that dominant version, big E. Big E means I have 2 small eyes, so my phenotype will be 2 small eyes. And we're just going to keep going down this list. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
It's tails this time.
So here's an incomplete dominant one. So I got the white version. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
It's heads.
And I'm heterozygous. So remember, incomplete mixes, so a mix of red and white would be pink. So I have a pink eye color with 2 small eyes. And you're just going to do that for all of this list. And that is going to be the mom of the monster that you have. Then you're going to come over here, and this is going to be the dad. So you have a mom and a dad monster, and what you're going to do is see what their baby's going to look like. So just fill this in. Well, this guy is little e, homozygous recessive, which means he has 1 eye. Fill it in. His eye color is white. Well, how do I make white? Well, the only way to make white would be if I have both genes for white. So he'd be R prime, that's white. And then you're going to end up doing some crosses here, right? So if I want to cross how many eyes I would cross big E, little e with little e, little e. That would give me a 50% chance of having a baby with 2 small eyes or a baby with 1 large eye. And that's what you're going to put in here. So what percentage of my offspring will only have 1 eye? Well, to have 1 eye, I need little e. And if I did my Punnett square here, then I would have a 50% chance of having that little e. And once you're done with that, screenshot this and turn it in. And if you want extra credit, then draw a baby of your monster or a picture of your baby monster right here so I can see what they look like. All right, that's all that you need to have done today. Thanks.